Before we begin, if stories about quiet courage, fragile trust, and the invisible lines that hold families together resonate with you, take a second to subscribe. These aren't loud dramas. They settle slowly, and sometimes they stay with you for days. In the small town of Ashland, Oregon, where fall leaves drift like whispers across quiet streets and the Rogue River murmurs steadily in the distance, Margaret Lewis had spent the last 6 years learning how to live again after loss. At 51, she carried widowhood with the same steady grace she brought to everything. Early mornings shelving books at the public library, simple suppers of roasted vegetables and herb tea, long walks along the trail behind her house. Grief hadn't vanished. It had simply become part of her rhythm, softened by time and routine. Her son Ethan was her greatest comfort and her greatest pride. She'd raised him alone through the hardest years, high school heartbreak, college applications, the ache of watching him grow into a man while still needing her in small, unspoken ways. Now 24, he'd come home 3 months early after graduating, suitcase in hand, saying only, "I need time to figure things out, Mom." Margaret hadn't asked for more. She'd simply opened the guest room, made space in the fridge for his favorite yogurt, and let him breathe. That October evening started ordinarily enough. Margaret stood at the living room window, arms crossed against the chill seeping through the glass, watching twilight turn the maple tree in the yard from gold to shadow. The house smelled faintly of cinnamon from the apple crisp cooling on the counter. The front door opened, later than usual. Ethan stepped in, jacket still on, hair damp from the light drizzle outside. He met her eyes and offered a smile that didn't quite reach them. Tight, rehearsed, the kind people give when they're hiding something heavy. "Long day?" she asked gently. "Yeah, fine." He headed for the stairs before the word finished settling. Margaret felt the air change, the way it does before a storm you can't yet see. Mothers notice these things, not because they're psychic, but because they've spent years learning the shape of silence. Over the following week, the signs accumulated quietly, like leaves piling against a fence. Ethan's phone buzzing more often, him stepping onto the porch to answer, voice low, soft laughter drifting from his room, then abrupt silence when she passed the hallway to new guardedness in his eyes when she asked casual questions. She told herself it was normal. He was young, figuring out adulthood. Privacy mattered. Still, a small knot of unease formed beneath her ribs. Intuition, her late husband used to call it. Truth knocking softly, he'd said once, kissing her forehead. She hadn't believed in premonitions then. She did now. Wednesday afternoon, while reshelving poetry collections at the library, her phone lit up with Claire's name. Claire Bennett, her closest friend for 12 years, the woman who'd sat with her through hospital vigils, brought casseroles after the funeral, laughed with her over wine on quiet Friday nights. Claire's voice on the call was different. Thin, careful, like glass about to crack. "Can we meet tonight? Just talk." They chose the little riverside cafe they'd gone to since the early days. Wooden tables, warm lights, the soft rush of water outside. Claire was already there when Margaret arrived, coffee untouched, hands knotted in her lap, eyes red-rimmed. Margaret Saturday. Waited. Claire drew a shaky breath. "I need to tell you something. And I hate that I do." The confession came slowly, piece by piece. It started innocently, Ethan texting her for advice about job applications, life after college, the strange hollow feeling of being unmoored. Claire, fresh from her own divorce, still raw, had listened. They talked about grief, uncertainty, feeling invisible in your own life. Comforting, at first. But comfort can slide. Conversations lengthened. Late-night messages. Shared vulnerabilities. Until one evening Ethan confessed feelings, attraction, attachment, something he hadn't named clearly but felt deeply. Emotional territory that should never have opened between them. Claire had shut it down immediately. "This can't happen," she told him. "It's wrong. For all of us." She'd blocked the deeper conversations, stepped back, carried the guilt alone until she couldn't anymore. Margaret listened without interrupting. Her face stayed calm, years of practice, but inside, grief bloomed sharp and cold. Not jealousy, not rage. Grief for the innocence lost, for the line crossed so quietly neither saw it coming until it was behind them. Days afterward blurred. The house felt smaller, every silence loaded. Ethan was still polite, helped with dishes, asked about her day, but the ease was gone. Margaret moved through routines on autopilot, heart heavy. She met Claire once more, demanding full truth this time. Claire, pale and exhausted, confirmed, nothing physical, no betrayal in the physical sense. Just two lonely people letting conversation fill voids it shouldn't have touched. She'd ended it cleanly. Ethan had been stunned, ashamed. Margaret returned home that evening knowing delay would only deepen the wound. She found Ethan in the backyard, leaning on the fence, staring at the stars beginning to prick the dark sky. "Ethan." He turned. His face said he already knew. "I know everything," she said quietly. No anger. Just fact. His shoulders sagged. Words tumbled out, fast, unsteady. "I didn't mean for it to happen, Mom. I felt so, lost after graduation. Like nothing fit anymore. Claire was just, there, listening, kind. I started feeling things I knew weren't right, but I didn't know how to stop. I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. I never wanted to hurt you, or her." Margaret stepped closer. Let silence hold them both for a moment. "I'm not angry," she said finally. "I'm hurt. Because I thought we talked about everything. Because I thought you knew some lines exist to protect us, not to confine us. But mostly, I'm sad. For you. For how alone you must have felt to let this grow. Tess tracked down Ethan's face. I didn't know how to tell you I was struggling. She reached out, touched his arm. You can always tell me. Even the hard parts. Especially the hard parts. They stood there under the Oregon sky, cold air, distant river sound, stars indifferent overhead. I love you, she said. That doesn't change. But we rebuild trust slowly now. And we talk. Really talk. He nodded, voice thick. I want that. In the weeks that followed, healing came quietly. Ethan started therapy, his choice. Margaret joined him for a few sessions. Claire remained a friend, but with new, careful boundaries. Conversations in the house grew honest again, awkward at first, then easier. Margaret never forgot the pain of that autumn. But she also never stopped believing in second chances, in the strength it takes to name hard truths, in love that bends without breaking. Sometimes the deepest wounds come not from malice, but from loneliness left unspoken. And sometimes the strongest families are the ones rebuilt, board by careful board, after the storm has passed.